They have hired me because I'm an expert in fields. They should, because they hired me, trust my opinion. But at the end of the day, it's their asset. They're going to do what they want to do.
Welcome to the walkthrough, where every single week we check off the week's trending topics in real estate as it relates to BAM and everything going on. I'm Byron Lazine, your co-host, along with Eric Simon. Every week we have a rotating panel of the brightest minds in real estate, and we are welcoming back, by popular demand, Victoria Velasquez. Victoria is one of LA's best in 2023. She's with the agency. And if you saw the last walkthrough she was on, you know she is a luxury grocery chain expert. Okay, well, Victoria, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. So excited to be here.
We're privileged to have you. We also have Brooks Landry, which you could debate how privileged we are to have his return to the walkthrough. Brooks is known for his campaign, Be a Realtor. He owns Envision Media, where he helps people do Instagram Reels and video. He's from the Bay Area. He's with Real Brokerage. And Brooks, welcome back to the walkthrough.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Slightly different intro with the agency and Real there, Byron.
Oh, the agency.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
Victoria with the agency.
I don't know if,
with Real Brokerage.
I don't know if the agency would shy away from a debate, but maybe that's a topic for another time. I have Brooks, your thoughts before we get into the topics, your thoughts quickly. I have EXP Kyle Whissel ready to go for a Real versus EXP debate. And it's just a long form discussion. People take debate, they think of it as a bad word. It's a long form discussion. See, Kyle's willing and ready to do this, and Real, just nothing. Quiet. Everybody's waiting for their permission slip from Tim Macy to be signed, I think. I don't know what it is, but here's the thing. Here's what I'll say, and then we're going to get into our topics. People who are thinking about the model, whether it be EXP or Real, they don't want to be trapped into one of your guys' Kool-Aid Zoom rooms. They want to see it side by side on a neutral playing field, which is BAM. Victoria's shaking her head, right? Yeah. If people are thinking about it, they want to see them side by side. They don't want to get sucked into one of your psychotic Zoom rooms before they got all the information.
Lured into a webinar.
Yeah, I know. Do you have time after this, Victoria? I just want to talk to you about the future of I know. I mean, did we get the permission from Tim? I feel like we should have a Tim or Brad McCullum kind of 1v whistle to see how that goes. But
I mean, Tim owns half the company, so I mean, the minute he opens his mouth, the stock ticker moves. So I guess we all wait for Tim.
Yeah, that's it. No, he's that'd be interesting. You know, Real. Listen, I think Tamir had said that the lion doesn't need to announce when he's in the room
before.
Yeah, so
we've heard about this lion.
It's one of the. Listen, I have a lot of respect for Tamir.
Of course,
he's done a great job, and the culture at Real is unbelievable. That quote from Tamir is pathetic. It's borderline pathetic. You can read it off the whole thing if you'd like. The lion being in the room and.
I got it tattooed on my back. You should have seen the entire room was ready to go. It was good. I mean, he's soft-spoken, but the guy is incredibly impressive. He's done a hell of a job. So.
Okay, but if this debate doesn't happen, I'm gonna expose you guys. The virtue signaling coming out of your camp right now is just a little bit much. I commented on Jason Cassidy's post last night, but let's get into the good stuff.
Yeah.
Let's get into agent reactions. This one went crazy. Chris Smith posted on Twitter, "Realtors, do you consider the seller your temporary boss?" He put out the question on Instagram, put it on Facebook. He put it everywhere. And so some of the agents responded this way: "I'm the boss." Some agents have no problem saying I'm the expert. You can see here some of their comments. Brooks, are they coming for me after what I just said about Real?
Yeah, exactly. The police is on its way.
Tamir just sent the crew to get me. I'm the boss, but like any good boss, I listen, I hear their needs, and I'm collaborative. It's not a dictatorship. That's from laneblank.san Diego. Another comment: if they are in charge, you're doing it wrong. Set the expectation up front. Any deviation is when the agent should decide if they want to move forward always stay in control. Okay. So there you go. Those are some of the thoughts of I am the boss. And then you've got another category. I work for them. Yes, I work for them. In turn, a great relationship is one of partnership. We work together to achieve positive outcome. 100%. My boss who pays me to advise them. That's David Caldwell. Shout out to David, who's a TF coach and also EXP, somebody who's willing to debate. I believe I'm putting words in David's mouth, but
You've
he is
never
an
talked to
EXP agent.
David.
He's
a
never said
partnership for most agents. Agreed upon dynamic is a partnership or a team. So here's some of the thoughts. This is a BAM article. You can read everybody's comments. Chris Smith summarized it, chimed back in after reading the comments. I wish we could get every future seller to read these comments. Clearly, when done properly, it's a partnership. Victoria, I want to start with you. Do you consider a seller your boss?
I don't. I very much agree with David Caldwell, but I see it more as I am an advisor. They are not my boss, though. They have hired me because I'm an expert in fields. They should, because they hired me, trust my opinion. But at the end of the day, it's their asset. They're going to do what they want to do. And that has changed throughout my career. I feel like when I first got into this business, I very much saw them as my boss. And for me, it was not an empowering position. And I had to work to get to the point where I was like, I actually bring real value. You know, a lot of my clients are super successful, high net worth, top of their field. They're incredibly good at what they do. A lot of them have sold $100 million businesses. So it can be very challenging to tell someone like that what to do, right? So I think at the beginning, I always felt like they were my boss and I didn't really step into my power and do my full job. Like I knew how to do it and do a really good job because I was, feeling insecure or feeling like I couldn't tell them. And I think once I switched into the role of being like, I'm your advisor, I know what to do. I know this area better than anyone. You can choose to listen to me or not to listen to me, but I'm going to tell you what to do. And then we're going to pivot, right? Every choice you make, I will then give you advice on the results of that choice. But, stand really firm in my ground. And I make it clear that if they're choosing to go against me, that I don't agree, but I'm going to support them so that they understand where my position always was.
All right. So Victoria is in the first camp. Victoria is the boss. They are not her boss. Brooks, what camp are you in?
I'm in the yes and no camp, but I agree a lot with what Victoria said. You go into it as an advisory role. I always go into every listing where I essentially am saying, listen, there's two things that are going to sell any product, any house, candy bar, house, whatever it is. It's mashed into one is the marketing and exposure and just kind of like getting it out there and getting it out to the crowd. At the end of it, I can't force them to put the price tag on the house. You're going to advise them to the best of your ability. And then you just let them know, just like Victoria said, if it, I would go this way. I think the numbers are showing this way. If you're going to fight me on this, that's a decision you can make as an agent on whether or not you want to take a step back or not. But I think within the first few minutes, even the call before you even get to the property, you're going to get an idea on whether or not they think they're going to take the reins of this and boss you around and walk you around. And then you can make a decision whether or not you want to go for it or not.
Eric, do you have thoughts on this discussion that Chris Smith has?
I do, actually. Yeah. When I first started in real estate and basically my entire career, I felt like every client was my boss. And I think that's part of the reason I got out of selling real estate and focused so much on content is anytime a buyer or a seller or a renter or whoever I was working with sent me a text message or called me, it was burning a hole in my pocket. And I felt like I had to respond to that person right there. Nothing I could do in my life made sense until I responded to that person. I had so much anxiety, my heart would pound, and that felt like a boss to me. So I think it was that mindset that made it so I didn't enjoy what I was doing. So I did fall into the camp as these people are my boss because I'm working for the commission for them, and they're the ones ultimately making the decision. But I'm sure if I was more experienced and came through it with like the mindset that Victoria now has, it would be more of a partnership and an advisor role. But I certainly felt like they were my boss. And that's why I'm doing the walkthrough full time.
Okay. I am going to be completely opposite here. I'm going to keep it all the way real on this topic. The seller is absolutely your boss. Every single agent. I mean, if you disagree with me on this, I'm gonna go to an extreme here. If you disagree with me, you're just dead wrong. It's their dirt. It's their wood. It's their driveway. It's their house. It's their landscaping. They are absolutely the boss. Think of it in this context. You have an NFL franchise and you're the owner of the franchise. You own the stadium. You own the team. You own the brand. You hire a general manager to pick, as Bill Parcells used to say, to pick the groceries, right? He's going to pick the groceries. He's going to coach the team. Sometimes the general manager and the coach are the same person. But anyways, that general manager is going to make decisions. They're going to make the decisions on, we're going to go draft this player out of Alabama. They're going to be a great fit for our franchise, and we're going to rally around them. But the owner is going to hold that person accountable. The owner wants to know, because listen, they're a billionaire owner of this sports franchise. They've got an ego. They want to know they're the boss, even though they're not going to make, unless they're Jerry Jones, every single decision, right? And if you follow Dallas Cowboys, you understand the joke there. He's going to make a whole bunch of decisions. You don't want to. It's why a lot of people don't want to work for Jerry Jones, right? Dallas Cowboys, because they don't want the seller making, and going back to housing, every single decision. But we're going to talk about luxury here in a minute. You go into a luxury listing and you let that professional, we're going to bat this around, Brooks. Don't worry. We're not going to go to luxury second topic. I'm just saying, you go into a luxury listing.
Take it easy, Brooks.
I'm ready to go.
Can I get through this, Brooks?
Jesus.
Are you going to allow me?
Chomping at the bits over here.
You listen, you go into a luxury listing and you let them know, you're the boss. I'm here to work for you. I'm here to earn the right to do the work for you. That's going to go a long way. A lot of agents go in with ego. A lot of agents go in with, look at my numbers. When you just set the record straight and say, hey, I'm here to work for you, of getting the job done to get your price on this home, and here's how I'm going to do it, sets the table that, yeah, you are in a service business. You are serving them. And you're on the 2.5%, 3% side of the equation for a reason, because you don't own the deal. They're on the 97% side of the deal because they own it. And there is, to me, a huge delineation between who's in charge and who's applying for a job. And agents are applying for a job and are the worker, not the boss. Brooks, go ahead, and then we got to go to Victoria on this too, because I know I came at it with a little bit of heat on my fastball, a little forcing there.
Well, I think the analogy with Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys kind of fits into her point, right? Where she had said, I go into this and as advising, I feel like Jerry should have been listening to his advisors a lot more over the last 30 years. He doesn't listen at all. And I think that kind of goes back to when you're going into a situation with a new seller and they are kind of taking the reins of, I'm the boss, I run the show. There needs to be a partnership. There has to be a teamwork in between that in order to get past the finish line.
If I can just throw in another football analogy, the best partnership, to your point, and I think what Victoria was saying as well, you could look at like the Patriots, who dominated the last 20 years. Bill Belichick makes all the decisions, but he has a great partnership with his boss, right, Bob Kraft, who is the boss, but he knows that, hey, I'm not a football guy to the level of Bill Belichick. I'm going to let him go pick the groceries, pick Tom Brady, put the players in the right position, all that kind of stuff.
We all know Tom Brady was the boss of that team. Let's just get that out there. But at the end of the day, like for example, out here in the Bay, we've got, I don't know, like 7,000 people just in my MLS and in my association. They're picking me to sit down in front of 7,000 other agents and the other 8,000 around the Bay. There is kind of going back to Eric's point. They do make the rules at the end of the day, whether or not they hire you, what price point they agree on, whether or not they want to close, without any headache and close the deal. But I'm going to let you take the reins on this one.
Yeah, jump in, Victoria.
Yeah, okay. So I think there's a few clarifications. Number one, I think the fact that we're in an advisory role does not mean we are not incredibly full service and catering to the client. Like, we'll talk about that with the luxury, but I feel incredibly strongly about that. And I would challenge any agent in this country to be more full service than we are, because we do so much for our clients. So I think I see that as, I don't see those things as mutually exclusive, right? I think I can be an equal partner advisor and be incredibly full service. But like you said, I think like the Bill Belichick Patriots example, it's like when you have someone good, you're going to let them, you're going to want them to take the reins. You're going to trust them, right? And that's really the dynamic we're looking for. There are clients who will always treat me as inferior, and that may not be the type of client I want to work with anymore. You know, and you get to the point in your career where you're like, is this really worth my time? And then the last thing I will say is just anecdotally, in my experience, I was that way, what you described. I would walk into these luxury clients, which is all my market, right? And I would say, I am here for you. I will do anything for you. And I do not feel like they respected me. I don't feel like I really started to get the respect I deserved until I started really standing up and being like, no, like I know what I'm doing. I'm the expert. You need to let me do what I do best. So that's all I'll say on that.
Yeah, I think respect is, I think you get people's attention when you say, I am going to work for you. And then you get the respect when you back it up and actually show them what the follow through is going to be. Too many agents believe that they're going to get hired off of the fit on personality. Well, you know, I didn't want to work with them anyways because I didn't really get along with them. That's just a weak-minded agent who's basically saying, I'm willing to hurt my business because if I don't work with people just like me, I don't want them as a client anyways. As opposed to, I'm a professional. I'm here to serve you. I'm here to earn the business. I'm applying for a job, but here's how I'm different. And I'm going to walk you through every which way that I'm different and how I'm going to attract more buyers to your property than anybody else. Now I've got the respect because they want that, because they haven't heard that in the other listing appointments. And then we can make a business decision together. Maybe I'm going to walk away from the listing because they're not reasonable on price, or they're going to make a business decision, you know, to move forward with my commission or vice versa. Right. And that's where, you know, maybe that partnership language becomes more of it. But listen, if I'm selling my house, which I just sold a house in Connecticut recently, I don't want a partner on the deal. I don't want to, that means I'm doing work. And I certainly don't want to be, you know, the worker in this relationship, right? Like,
no, agreed. Yeah. You shouldn't be doing work.
Yeah. Nicole did all the work on the sale of my house. And it was very fun being able to, you know, hey, worker, what's going on here? What's the deal on this deal?
Were you a nightmare or were you good?
Of course I'm a nightmare. I'm like any other agent that knows too much.
He said he was basically going to fight anyone who disagreed with him before this. I thought that's what you were going to say.
No, I didn't say that. See, listen, people take me out of context like Eric just did all the time because I have a little bit of charisma, unlike Brooks. If, you know, people just, you know, take it to the extreme and they put words in my mouth. People say that I swear all the time on video. I barely do, by the way.
Never.
I hear it all the time.
All right. Victoria, any final thoughts?
No, I mean, I disagree with you. I really do. I think you have to really stand in your power and be a true expert in field. And yes, don't make the seller work. The seller should not be working, but they're going to be making decisions, right? Like you said, it's their asset. And yes, logistically, they are hiring you, like they are paying you. So yes, that's that relationship. But I just don't think, I think the dynamics of the power need to be shifted for it to be successful.
Let us know in the comments. Are you the boss? Or are you the worker? Where do you sit on this? Are sellers your boss? Let us know in the comments. Hit the thumbs up button so this video can reach more people who need to hear this conversation. We're about to define what a luxury real estate agent actually is. So share this video to somebody who needs to hear that. Before we do that, Eric.
Yes. I'd like to talk about Keeping Current Matters, which the walkthrough is sponsored by. Keeping Current Matters is your go-to source for the insights and content you need to be the market expert. KCM is the best in the biz at taking the latest housing data and curating it into powerful visuals and marketing content for video and social media that helps you look great and gives you tons of value for your clients and prospects. At a time when the market's changing and consumers are asking questions most agents don't know how to answer, KCM makes it easy to build your brand as the market expert. Check out trykcm.com/BAM so you can master the market and your marketing today. There's a link down in the description.
trykcm.com/BAM. Since January 1st, the market switched in a big way. So now more than ever, you need the data. Go to trykcm.com/BAM. Okay. Troy Palmquist, who BAM creator, wrote this article, dropped today. We'll link it up down below so you can get access to it. Feeling Gucci, what really defines a luxury real estate agent? Okay, so applying the luxury real estate experience to real estate. Everybody's had this experience where, whether it's a retail store, your favorite clothing store, or maybe a restaurant where you feel luxury in some way. He kind of walks us through that, and how can you offer a luxury level of service? So let's get everybody's definition. We'll start with Victoria. What's your definition of a luxury real estate agent?
Luxury real estate agent. I mean, I completely agree with the article. I think it comes down to service, right? And how you make someone feel, how you carry them through the process. I had a mission statement early on when I got into this business that was, I want to be the person that my clients think about for anything related to real estate, as whether it's like their sofa or selling their house. And so I think being that go-to resource that is going to be full service, handhold, be an advisor, be able to answer any questions for anything that they may need.
Love that. Full service, anything they need, anytime. Brooks?
That's it. It's full service. It's caring. It's actually going into the relationship and, getting across that finish line together. It's white glove. I think of white glove. I think of just being able to take as much off the plate for the client as possible. It's 100% full service. It's communication. It's doing what you say you're going to do and following through with it. So it's a mixture of a bunch of different things. I think there's too many people out there that lived in the 2019 through 21 where you needed a sign in the ground to sell it. And I think that's what's going to differentiate the professionals and the ones that are kind of getting out of the business is how much you care and how much you put into it. Just trying to offer as much value. That's one thing that we try to do as much as possible, is try to handle 99% of the heavy lifting for the clients.
Troy said in the article, why do we focus on luxury being limited to multi-million-dollar homes? The person who's selling the $300,000 condo deserves the same type of experience and the same level of service as the $3 million home. It's about the professionalism that's conveyed. Does the $300,000 condo deserve the same level of service as the $3 million home? Brooks and Victoria, you guys' thoughts?
100%. Absolutely. So we've got a service that we do handle pretty much everything when it comes to prepping the property for sale. I've got a lot of people that are saying that when I bring that up on Instagram or just, talking to nobody, like, you do that to the condos and the $2 and the $3 and the $4 million properties. 100%. Like we don't just, because of the price point of the property shouldn't matter whether or not you care. And you're going to,
so do you do staging, for example? Either one can chime in. Do you do staging and pay for that out of pocket, or do you never pay for staging out of pocket? Do you stage a $300,000 home, and stage the $3 million home as well out of your pocket, or does sellers pay for that? Like, let's just use that as an example.
Yeah. Every single home that I list, I stage if they're okay with it. And it's a full stage. If it's a vacant property, we're not staging 3 of the 5 rooms. Everything's staged
so
top to bottom.
2.5% commission, before your fees to real. And any other fees you have, $7,500 before any brokerage fees. Okay. 2.5% on 300,000.
Yeah.
How much of that goes to staging? And then is it a percentage? How do you break that down? If you are indeed paying for staging, how do you do that on a short spread, like a $300,000 home?
So the smaller the property, the less cost of staging there's going to be. If I'm staging a 5,000 square foot home, you're usually, depending on the stager I use, it can be $150 or $175 a foot, depending on what it's needed. A lot of the times these homes they're occupied as well, so they don't need a full stage. Maybe just kind of a declutter, spruce the place up a little bit. But I don't skimp on that ever, regardless of what my bottom line is going to be. So, I mean, I've sold homes for free without compensation in order to get them out of a bad situation, staged it, prepped it, got it ready to go. This is the relationship-based business. And my bottom line doesn't always equal the bottom line for me.
Love it. Victoria, staging, are you paying for it? Client paying for it? Where does that fall into the service bundle that you're offering?
We don't always pay for it. We will sometimes if we feel like we need to, or it's very case by case for us, but we feel very strongly about making the property look good. Oh, if our client's home is beautiful and doesn't need it, we don't force it. But if we 100% try to stage, we very much look at it like what Brooks was saying is lifetime value of a customer, right? Like I've done many leases where I've lost money. I have done, condos where I've lost money, but I look at this as a long-term relationship. I always say that, like, I don't care. I want you guys to come back and be with me for life. So if I'm going to lose money on the short term, that's totally fine. You may refer me another client. Like we always try to do what's best for the person, no matter what. And we 100% treat all of our clients exactly the same, irrespective of price point.
There was a point Troy made in the article too, that an agent actually got more for their listing because of their luxury branding. And it was just a condo. And the other agent said that they developed more respect for that listing agent just by the way they promoted it as if it was a luxury property. So there's definitely something there. But also if you want to become a luxury agent, Byron, all you have to do is put that in your Instagram bio. So you don't have to do any of this BS that Brooks and Victoria are talking about, full service, white glove, treat everyone the same. Just put it in your Instagram bio. Boom, you're a luxury agent immediately.
That's it.
Yeah, that is, and then get a Home Snap award on top of it. But
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's all about the service, and oftentimes you do pay for what you get what you pay for, in that regard. There's a reason why 9 times out of 10, I get the best service out of, a restaurant where I'm going to pay a higher price.
Yeah.
But there are restaurants that don't have that higher price per plate, but they remember my name. It took them only maybe 2 times and they remembered my name every single time. And they've made notes about different things. People that are really good at this, they're taking notes. So for an agent, that's going to be in your database. For a restaurant owner or a host, it's just going to be maybe in a pad taking notes, what this guy likes, maybe something you remember about the last conversation so you can bring it up. When somebody says your name, you walk into a restaurant, you feel special. And that feeling, we can deliver that through our service as an agent, that feeling that makes somebody feel very special, whether they're at the lower price point, the median price point, or they're a $3 or $30 million home. When we get into that league, I think an agent's expenses change dramatically. If you're talking about a 10, 20, $30 million home, even a $3 million home compared to a 300,000, you can't compare the advertising campaigns exactly the same, because the $30 million home, it's such a small pool of buyers where, your $300,000 home is obviously going to attract a larger group. So that there's some differences there, but certainly the feeling and the service should be the same.
I think a luxury agent, like you could also feel like when you're doing a deal with a luxury agent, you could literally feel the luxury like exuding off of them. I don't know if that's the right terminology. Yeah. I honestly think, I know this article shied away from the superficial aspect of it, the car, the look, the clothes, but I think that does definitely have something to do with it. Like if you are rolling 100%. Up in a nice car and you do look good and smell good and feel good, not feel good, but you yourself feels good. It gives off that luxury feeling a lot more than if you rolled up in a go-kart and then you had, a full beard and you were like limping around or something like that. Not limping. I don't know why I said that.
Yeah,
what I mean? Like if you're
with the stanky leg,
not limping around, but like good posture, everything. Like when you work with David and James from $1 Million Listing, or when you see them, they give off that luxury feeling. When you talk to Victoria or deal with Victoria, like when I walked into her listing in Brentwood, it smelled like vanilla, like the deal that we did together. Seriously though, but
we do.
The deal we did together was a $1 million+ condo, but the way Victoria handled everything, the way she appeared, the way the property was presented, it was all luxury feel. And Victoria isn't the luxury market. So it's not just like the service that she's providing, it is the aesthetic too.
Yeah, Eric, you and I got to spend a day with Tim Smith in Newport Beach in his home market at the end of last year. We went to one of the, private, it was like a yacht club, pool, all this kind of stuff, but it's one of multiple private memberships Tim holds in Newport Beach. He's going to have lunch at these establishments. If you're not living the life you know, this is talking about the higher price point, of course. If you're not living that life that your clients, that the homeowners are living, it's going to be very challenging for you to accumulate real scale in your listing inventory in a small little community like Newport Beach. And so he's like, yeah, of course I'm a member at all of these different places. Any final thoughts on defining luxury agent?
No, we always talk about you need to be a peer in your community, right? Going back to actually what we were talking about, the boss advisor, like people need to respect you as someone who knows the lifestyle of where you're selling, I believe. Yeah. So and that's fine. Do whatever market works best. Do where you resonate and where that's going to be your community. And that may not be the highest price point, but you just need to fit in and feel really comfortable there, because that's what they're buying into the lifestyle and the dream. And they need to feel like you're selling that too. You are a component of the whole transaction.
Yeah. Christoph has said this for years. He's like, yeah, of course I'm hanging out at all these, you know, jewelry parties and fancy dinners, because that's what the clients that I'm working with expect me to be doing. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. This is a very California episode here. We got, you three are from everybody we're talking about from California. Hey, we got to mention
everybody back east is like, I don't want to hear about this luxury crap.
No.
It's a mindset. I think Troy's article is
real on the East Coast.
The way he describes it as a mindset and a service, I think is really the core of this. I was just saying there is an additional aspect to it with the aesthetic and the look.
Yeah, I have a funny anecdote.
Eric is very superficial. Moving on, we have
look at my brown shirt. Go ahead.
Housle, the Wordle of real estate. Housle is a new guessing game created by TV producer Doug Wetzbuck, modeled after Wordle. Users get 6 tries to guess the asking price of real estate listings, handpicked by Doug daily. Users can currently play Housle online. There's an app coming soon. It's going to be in the App Store, of course. And well, I don't know. What do you guys think? I've never played Wordle and I've never played Housle. So what do you guys think?
Great. I've played Housle.
I've played Housle.
It's interesting. As you guess, it gives you more clues. The only clues I got in the 2 times I played it were go a little higher or go a little lower. And then it kind of like tells you the location of it too. It said like it was 200 miles outside of Denver. When I got the answer right, I didn't feel good about myself. Like I'm sure you feel good after Wordle. It was not very satisfying. But I think it's a cool way for people to interact with listings in a different way. In fact, I had an idea before the broke agent to do the Tinder of real estate. I know a lot of people have tried to copy this and do something like this, where you're swiping through properties with, you know, certain parameters, like you're swiping through, you know, potential suitors. And if it accepts, you could click through the photos more, and then you could contact the listing agent right there. And you could like ask certain questions that were funny and real estate based, like Hinge or something that suggests things. So that was my idea. I don't know. This is obviously
awful idea. I'm glad we're working on BAM.
Thanks, now. Byron. I appreciate that. But the thing is, like I said, it's an interactive way to view listings. And this can be a fun way for agents to actually showcase their listings. If your property gets picked for a Housle, that's a cool thing to show in your marketing. But I mean, if this guy Doug is just the master puppet behind just choosing the listings, then I don't know how you get it on there.
It sounds like he's doing it daily, according to the BAM article, which we'll link up below.
They're all active listings.
He was also quoted as saying, Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, if one of them wants to come knocking on my door down the road, I'll take their call. Of course you'll take their call.
Same.
No kidding. No kidding. Victoria, what do you think about Housle?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's because I'm in the business, but I was like, this is not thrilling. And it's also like, it's impossible to guess the number because you don't know what part of town. Like I did it this morning, and it was, not to ruin it for people, but it was this like 5-structure property, this ranch with like a hotel. And I would have thought it was super expensive. It was like $4 million. So it was in a random town in Colorado. So I don't know.
We got the same property. Maybe that's how it is.
No, everyone does. It's the same every day.
I think that's how Wordle goes. Wordle's the same word of the day.
It's the same word. Yeah. So, I mean, it was fine. I'm sure people will like it. I don't know how good people are going to be, though. I think it's tough to guess.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll never play Wordle. Do you enjoy Wordle?
No.
People like looking at properties. So maybe that's this guy's thought. It's like, I'm going to create this Housle thing. It'll gamify real estate a little bit. And people will want to do this. They'll have fun with it. Just like with Wordle. I mean, Wordle was on a craze maybe a year or 2 years ago during the pandemic. People were really into Wordle. Another angle on this, Brooks, is, and if you could pop up the tweet, Haley, Soren Iverson on Twitter, not Alan, but Soren, put up a tweet called Zillow with a comment section. So he basically just made a graphic, put a Zillow, looking app up there, and then having comments. So went and looked at this place last week. The neighbors have loudest corgi I've ever heard. Used to live here, can confirm it's haunted. Just, all these ridiculous comments, as you could imagine, people would be making. And so, kind of this isn't gamification. This is like social mediaification of Zillow listings. But what are more ways? People love looking at listings. So this is what this guy's thinking with Housle. This is what this guy's thinking with comments in the Zillow section. What are more ways to kind of like create entertainment around houses? Brooks, your thoughts on either Housle or Zillow having a comment section?
Comment section would be great. I feel like
bad. It would be bad.
Wild in there. Yeah. Never played Wordle. Just learned about Housle 30 minutes ago. Is there a way that we could adjust this and maybe just send properties to our clients before listings of comparables that they can go through and decide on where they think the price should be? Think about it. This isn't recorded. That's my idea.
Wow, that's genius, Brooks. I got another idea, Byron. There's Nerdle, which is for math people, or math equations. You wouldn't be good at that. Then there's Hurdle, which is good for audio and music. You also wouldn't be good at that. How about this? No. Turtle. And you guess the ages of turtles every single day. You get a turtle. That turtle could be 10. It could be 190.
It really could.
How about that? That's it. Hopefully Redfin or Zillow come knocking on my door for that one, and Doug Whitesburg doesn't steal it from me. Yeah, genius.
All right, so these are not real things. You made those all up.
No, Hurdle is real, and Wordle is real.
I don't believe Turtle's a thing.
Turtle
of course, this is my idea, Brooks. Your idea of creating an app just for your clients to swipe through comps is insane. Turtle, at least, is more fun than Wordle.
All right. Well, the last big idea in real estate was iBuying, and Glenn Kelman says Redfin should have killed that idea, iBuying, much earlier. It shouldn't have taken a housing market correction for them to move on. We've seen many others move on. Zillow was the first to say, we are out. I think they got ahead of this. You've seen Zillow's stock has benefited much more from that decision than Redfin, who lost 90% from peak and bottomed out their lowest valuation ever in November. Obviously, Anywhere, Realogy, they got out of it as well. I don't know how big they were in it, really leaving just Open Door and OfferPad as the only two iBuyers. Brooks, your thoughts on Glenn Kelman's confession that Redfin should have been out of iBuying earlier?
So it was the shift in the market that told them that they should, and not the millions of losses before the shift on the market?
Yeah, he's saying it shouldn't have taken that housing market correction.
It's interesting. I was going to say, kind of go back to the other one, there should be an asterisk on that Housle thing for any properties listed by Open Door, and it kind of goes back into the I thing, because there's absolutely no way you're going to figure out what that.
There's more than a 5% discrepancy there.
25% over last comp, but yeah, this is interesting. I mean, the iBuyer. My theory about the iBuyer program, I always thought that obviously there's a place for it, where if you're in a need, you got to get out. You've got a situation, life happens, and you got to get out and sell. You need the money to move on. But I also think that there is a creative way of using it as a marketing tactic for the brokerage, where ideally you're marketing it out and showing it as, hey, we'll buy your home immediately, because the name of the game in marketing or sales really is to try to figure out how many people are going to lift their hands up to see whether or not they want to sell or not. Obviously, you're qualifying anybody that's interested in the potential iBuyer program, whether that connects with them or not. I think that's the best play with it, besides the fact of, an investor coming in and purchasing it, or, you're up against it and life hit you and you need to move on and get going. But I don't know. I mean, after the shift is when they moved. I thought everybody was losing during iBuying.
Well, yeah, to your point about a great tool for brokerages or teams to use locally to generate seller conversations, getting away from all these California agents. I'm going to point out a Canadian agent, Paul Rushforth, up in Ottawa. Paul has been doing just this on the radio for over a decade, where we'll guarantee to buy your home if we can't sell it. He's I think it's been 15 years. Don't quote me on that, but I know it's been longer than a decade. I've talked to Paul about this numerous times. I've heard him talk on it. In all the years, he's only bought one home. And by the way, he's like, I wanted to buy. It was great. It was fine. It fit into my investment portfolio, but they list dozens and dozens of homes every single year off of that marketing campaign. It's something that Zillow struggled to do, create, sellers in the short period of time that they had this iBuying, and, Open Door's done maybe a better job of that, but certainly not enough, to make a real viable, profitable company. And Redfin obviously getting out, they're losing tons of money right now and they're pivoting. Victoria, your thoughts on the iBuying?
Yeah, admittedly, I'm not an expert because this is so far from my market, but I will say two things. One, I know that Zillow was the first one out because they actually executed it the worst. So they had the poorest returns and all that. So not to give them like all this credit that they were like foresaw how it wasn't working, they just really executed poorly. So they jumped out quickly. But two, I think with one thing that I always find really interesting with all of these like innovations in real estate is that so many of them are coming after the agent and the old traditional way of doing business. And I think it's very positive when things don't always work out and people have to pivot, because I think it just shows, as much as this is an industry very ripe for disruption and it needs disruption because we've been doing things, so the same way for so long, I think it also shows that it's not that easy to just be like, everything is wrong. There are things that really work about our business and how we operate. And there's real value in the way that really good agents are doing business. And so I think seeing something like this in a way is like, yeah, see, you can't just come in and think you can totally disrupt and do things totally differently. It's like, there's going to be learnings along the way and it's not as easy as you may have thought, kind of thing.
How could an iBuyer provide a luxury service, right, Byron? Were they going to show up in a drone?
Yeah, no, they can.
It's
a robot.
It's a convenience experience, not a luxury experience. It's targeting the, Brooks said it, person that needs out right now. This model's always existed. It's just been local investors that are saying, hey, I'll get you out in a week, 2 weeks. I'll give you cash, buy your house. I'll flip it, that type of thing. I'll give Glenn Kelman, Redfin CEO, a little bit of credit. I'm heaping a ton of credit on Zillow, Victoria, only because when they shut it down, they said, we've made mistakes, we're shutting it down, and here's the direction we're moving forward, and we're going to move forward with our agent partners. Glenn at least is saying we should have moved quicker. It shouldn't have taken a housing correction. So he's taking ownership. So I'll give him a little bit of credit there, because I mentioned this on a couple of weeks ago. We've seen other CEOs, the Compass CEO, Robert Revkin, the EXP CEO, the other guy there, Glenn Sanford, both blame market conditions for their lack of growth. Well, if the market continued to accelerate as expected and didn't shut off like a light switch in June of 2022, we would have continued to have grown. That to me is really just insane, because you're supposed to be able to see market conditions. You're supposed to prepare for the worst. If the best happens, great. Yeah. Glenn Kelman and Zillow at least are taking ownership of the mistake.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I think anytime a CEO, one, is able to publicly admit a mistake, that's major. And yeah, I totally agree. I think the way that Compass has handled, their public statements is terrible.
And the agency, your brokerage, might be benefiting. I don't know if that's true or not. Just throwing that out there, waiting for you to maybe fire somebody up with a response to that. You see what I do, Victoria?
Yeah, I love it.
He's the heel. He's the instigator.
Yeah.
He pokes.
He's the drama queen of real estate.
Yeah.
Eric keeps calling me the heel of BAM, so I put that in my Twitter bio. By the way, connect with me on Twitter. I'm using that app way more than anything else right now. All right. We have one last topic, Brooks. You were only prepared for 4 topics, but we wanted to ambush you a little bit. We have a Brooks Landry Instagram reel. Haley, why don't you play the reel from Brooks for all of us right now?
The news that Facebook dropped last week scared the out of a lot.
Turn the volume up, Haley.
Last week, Facebook announced that users will no longer be able to share property listings on the Facebook Marketplace. That announcement caused realtors from Maine to California to start happy hour a little earlier. The concern was that realtors would be prohibited from posting their new for sale, rentals, or listings to Facebook at all. Remember Craigslist? Well, Facebook's Marketplace was simply a copycat of that. Just like Facebook ripped off Snapchat's story feature, only to be named on Facebook as, wait for it, stories. So realtors, relax. Nothing has changed on the Facebook Marketplace. You can still share your postings through your personal profile or your business profile. Facebook simply wants to restore the feature and eliminate all the spam that was on the marketplace. On top of that, address some fair housing issues that were caused by some realtors targeting specific people for ads. So realtors, just breathe. Facebook made a couple changes, but you've still got TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube that you can share all of your clients' properties.
Can you
realtors be honest?
I'll explain.
Before Eric explains and attacks you, Brooks, I will say you look good on that video. You look good.
Thank you, sir.
And you do a great job delivering the content. I love
It's not the
cadence.
content, Byron. I'm scrolling through my feed yesterday. I have my headphones in, and then I hear Levels by Avicii blasting on full. This did not do it justice. Okay. If you're listening to this at home, go to Brooks Landry's Instagram right now and go to it. Your ears will start to bleed. I thought I was at CDC back at the Coliseum in 2012, rolling my face off, trying to answer someone. It's insane. You need to understand, Brooks, as a media guy, as Envision Media, if you are putting an audio on your reel or on your TikTok, you can't have techno music blasting. Put the volume down to 2 or choose an instrumental or something like that. How could you think that took away your entire message? All I could think about was Avicii.
I don't know if I agree with that. I kind of liked it. I thought it was fun.
Victoria, watch it on Instagram. This didn't do it justice. Trust me.
Yeah, it didn't do it justice. I would agree.
Yeah. Don't put your headphones in when you watch it either. I almost fell out of my chair when I was listening to it.
I'm going through my options. I'm like, how many times can I play the same instrumental? I got this. I'm like, you know what? Do I switch this up a little bit? And the first comment was Eric's, and then it just went
immediately.
So on Instagram, everybody knows this that has put audio on one of their reels. There is a range on volume that you can add. Or you can adjust the music. So you could have it at 100 full blast. When Eric said put the volume on a 2, he meant literally a 2 out of 100. Brooks, you were operating on a 20 piece there.
That had to be 20, 25.
I think I was pushing 25.
Oh,
I was speeding
crazy.
Without
Yeah, that
Victoria,
is bananas.
Do you have a limit that you don't let your audio if you're putting a song on, in the background of your audio? Do you have like me and Eric are under 10 guys. I never put audio anyways. I'm not that kind of guy, but do you have a limit?
I don't. And I feel insecure. I'm like, do I need to go check all my audio and see what I've been doing?
No, Victoria, before you post a reel, send it to me and then I will construct it. Because by the way, the audio plays differently depending on if you're listening to headphones or you're listening to it without headphones. So you have to be cognizant of that. And then also you have to be cognizant of the fact that Instagram is not promoting accounts that are doing this as much anymore. It's all original audio they're focusing on.
Brooks, I think you had a lot of engagement on that post, so congratulations. But I think you would have had double, maybe triple, because your delivery and your cadence is so good.
The content, Brooks, your content is great.
It's awesome.
Your Instagram, the variety, the Be a Realtor series, your educational videos, your real estate news videos, everything, your hooks, all fantastic. Just that Level song was just like a lapse of judgment that it actually questioned my friendship with you.
You're way more.
How can I trust a guy that does something like this?
I swear on anything. This morning, I'm putting the music behind the one I just posted. And I'm like, do I turn it up on Eric just a little bit? Do I go straight Avicii again? I was like, no,
do it again. Put it on every reel at this point. Next time, do Skrillex or Swedish House Mafia. That's it. Or Sebastian and Grosso.
What was the song that you did in the scroll the other day, Eric? That was great. That was a great song.
Apparently it wasn't. My song selection is probably the best in the business. I always provide context to my memes with hilarious songs. And in the BAM songs, it's always at 2 or 3 volume, the over ask. It never interrupts with the actual context of what's being said.
This one was blasting because it was on a meme. It was.
Yeah, I know. You didn't like this one. It was I don't remember what song it was.
The 6ix9ine guy? What is he?
No, I would never do that. That's insane. Takashi, I did for a meme. Yes.
Takashi. Yeah,
Yeah.
for a meme. That's what I'm talking about.
Do you have lyrics or do you just instrumental? That's where I kind of
If
go
I'm
back and forth
talking,
with.
no lyrics.
Yeah.
So you at least made the right choice there, because levels, it only has, in the chorus, it has a brief part of lyrics, which I don't think yours hit upon, but lyrics interrupt with what you're saying.
Yeah.
So you got to go instrumentals, or at least choose a part of the song that doesn't have lyrics.
Here's what I'll say. A lot of times we don't know what is going to take off, and you've got no chance of getting 1 million+ views on an Instagram reel or a TikTok by using this audio, because if the copyright loses, they take it down. You can't hear anything anyways. I think you hurt your organic chances of having an explosive video. I'd stay away from it 90% of the time.
If there's dead silence, have it in the background. Like if it's an awkward video, it is good to provide it. But if it takes away from it, like Brooks blasting levels, don't do it.
Jesus Christ.
So in this video, would you have done 0? You would have done silence?
I would have done silence, because Brooks,
I would have done 0.
There's so many quick cuts with Brooks. Also, like he's delivering great content.
Yeah.
Like there's no need for it, basically. And it's that original audio that gets shared way more. Not the audio itself, but the video just gets shared way more. It's being pushed in the algorithm more.
I would have definitely done 0 on that one, because it was so good. And these are all the little nuances. The more you test things, and Brooks is somebody who's, way ahead of the curve on this stuff. So we're just kind of having some fun with you, Brooks. But the more you test these posts, and Brooks, you're probably testing, right? I don't know. Were you kind of testing, or was it just a psychotic move?
No, that's exactly what I was doing. I was testing it. I don't know if I'm going to push it again. We'll see.
The more you
definitely
test,
think
the more
about
you
it.
see these trends.
Every time you add audio now, you will be thinking of my face. I'll tell you that much. Anytime you add audio, you will think of me.
I saw Pantana put out a post the other day where it's like, hey, don't worry about if a post doesn't perform. I've always felt that way. I just throw stuff up over and over again. Some guys some people are just going to post like one perfect little post every 3 weeks or something like that. It's just not my game. I mean, if it works for you, great. I'm somebody who wants to just go overbearing on the post, knowing, I'm playing the odds. Some of them are going to just pop, and that's going to drive, all the engagement that I'm looking for.
It's you and Ricky Carruth every time.
Yeah.
On Instagram.
But
that's all it
but
is.
Listen,
what are we trying to do here? Is this like a?
Hey, I like how you did that. I like how you brought it all the way back to how I started the pod, because, even despite the debate me and Ricky had, my respect for Ricky is going through the roof the more the real community hides from this debate that the real estate industry wants. You've got 90% of agents who are not real or EXP. They want to see this side-by-side long form format. Ricky Carruth never shies away from the moment, but real, you guys are shying away.
Well, let me kind of go back to that last topic we had, not to stretch this a little bit further, but I think you had said Glenn Sanford had made an excuse that the reason he didn't grow in a turning market was because of the market. He's a cloud-based brokerage with very little overhead. Real had a great explosion of growth during
they were all EXP agents.
Market. So
Brooks, let's finish the episode with that lion quote one more time.
Give us the lion quote. Read it out loud.
Let me take the shirt off. You guys can.
Yeah. Let's read it off your back.
No, I want the actual quote.
Yeah.
Victoria, what's the agency quote? It's just no assholes, right?
No assholes.
Yeah.
Great. It's a great mission statement.
It is.
What was the lion quote? Let's finish with that.
It was something along the lines of, there's no need. Lions don't need to announce themselves. Everybody knows there's a lion in the room, and that's it. And then we just drop the mic and we just walk off.
And then Level starts playing.
And Level goes at 25. Yeah.
All right. Good. Yeah. Way to finish it off with a bang there. Great stuff. Victoria, thank you so much. You're amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Let us know in the comments how you feel about Victoria's second appearance on the walkthrough. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments how you feel about the levels of Brooke's audio, Instagram levels. Brooke, you're always welcome back on the walkthrough. Just having some fun with you. We love you, brother.
Pretty meta, by the way. The song is called Levels, and we're talking about the audio levels. Something there, huh? Something there.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Oh, quickly, next week, Tuesday, we've got a webinar with KCM, sponsor of this show, Demystifying the Market. Okay, so you want to sign up for that. And we have a cold calls event, a second one on Wednesday, live cold calls happening Wednesday. So big week next week. Make sure you're subscribed to this. Make sure you're on the newsletter. Don't miss any of this stuff. And we'll see you next week.
Music, blast it.
Blast it.
Dun, dun, dun.